ELI5. In the military. What are NCOs? How do they differ from normal officers? And why do some countries not have many of them? Deleted. The US bases everything off small unit leadership. We get a task from officers and we carry out those tasks in the way we see fit. Many nations don't utilize an NCO corps because their training is more output listening to direct order versus figure it out as you go. Every NCO in the US is essentially a CPT. Jack Sparrow. In simple terms, officers are upper management. NCOs are foremen and frontline supervisors. Officers give the orders. NCOs make sure they are carried out. NCOs command more respect and morale from other enlisted personnel because they are just senior members of the same cohort. Brothers. Normal officers are like a manager at work. You don't grab drinks with your boss after hours. I think it's simplest just to say that an NCO is generally a more senior enlisted member. It's also worth noting that in the Navy, all but the absolute newest enlisted members are NCOs, so it generally has much less meaning in that service. This is your random reminder for all service men and women out there. The plural form of sergeant major is in fact sergeants major. NCOs are soldiers that are in charge of making stuff happen. Carrying out orders. They advise officers on how to do what the officer intends to do. They also train soldiers, officer and enlisted, to carry out the tasks of war. The best officers are prior NCOs. Let's say you got an officer in charge of a platoon, and a platoon sergeant who is also in charge of the platoon. The officer tells the platoon what to do. The PS helps to enforce that the task is done. So I guess you can say that if an officer and an NCO are in charge of the same group of people, NCO micromanages more. But what then is a warrant officer? A hyper-simple explanation. Officers are Jedi. Ordinary enlisted are the clone troopers. NCOs are the clone trooper squad leaders with the fancy orange shoulder plate. Officers, you're over smart college professor. Paid to teach, lead, your class. Can be a bit detached from the subject because getting from point A to point B was so easy from them and so long ago. NCO, the tar. Just learned the subject and can't teach, lead, more relatable because they just went through it. Also costs a lot less to use. Veteran and NCO here. Officers have college degrees and are the equivalent to business executives. An NCO is a seasoned enlisted member who can be delegated some of an officer's duties. Broadly explained, the officer corps create policy and the NCO corps enforces it. The extent that the officers are able to create policy depends on their rank and function, of course. But the job of the NCO is to run things and ensure that everything in their realm is up to published standard. The NCO is the backbone of the Army. In short, the commissioned officers are planners. The non-commissioned officers, NCO, are doers. Think of NCOs as the guy at a company who's been around for a while. Knows how things are supposed to work and knows how to keep things flowing. The other employees look to them for guidance and suggestions when problems arise. Officers are the interns who made an impression on the upper management crowd and were hired right after graduating. They have no experience other than shadowing other managers and have no real idea how things actually work. This person is now in charge of the other guy. NCOs work in the field and commissioned officers work behind a desk. That's why you never call a non-commissioned officer a sir. They say they work for a living. The way my dad, a Desert Storm vet, explained it, is that commissioned officers have the authority to speak on behalf of the POTUS. Like an ambassador of sorts. An NCO does not have that authority. Even a fresh out of the academy, lowest ranking officer has that authority. But even the highest ranking NCO, Command Sergeant Major of the Army, for example, does not have that authority. Commissioned officers are the upper-class people who went to military school and joined the military as an officer. A non-commissioned officer is a soldier who started from the bottom and was promoted. It's kinda like the difference between a doctor and an LPN. They can do a lot of the same things, but they took different paths to get there. This is with regards to a modern national military. Older militaries were very different in not just organization, but in their function and purpose. As any enlisted person knows. And when someone asks me if I was an officer when I was in the US Marines, I tell them no. I worked for a living. ELI5 NCOs and petty officers in the Navy are managers. Who gets promoted? Who gets special schools? When a soldier has to be punished. What kind of punishment? An officer gives orders, e.g., take the flank, or dig a ditch here. The NCOs supervise soldiers in carrying those orders out. Deleted. Officer orders people around. Non-commissioned officer orders people around after a few years of service in a non-officer role. NCOs get paid less while holding commissioned officers' hands until they get caught up to speed. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.